The opinions made in this video do not necessarily coincide with that of Imaginary Goddess, or anyone else for that matter. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey guys, Ben Wheeler, the Mercenary King, here with the Training with the King mini episode. I think I'll call them, well, let's try this. No? Oh, this works best. I think I'll call them, Training with the King Master Tips. And they're sort of like mini videos. I might ramble on them, but, they're sort of mini videos talking about Vanguard, things that I believe in. And one of them is, and the one for today is, it doesn't really matter what your opponent does. You might be like, Ben, your opponent could crit you. I'm like, yeah, but that's why you perfect shield the Vanguard attack. It's I don't really care what your reasoning is for saying that it matters so much what the opponent does. Here's the thing. During your games, most decks are unaffected by what the opponent does unless you reach out and touch them. And by that I mean actively choose to use the abilities or attack. You see, when this deck is Depth Charge and Blaster Dark Diablo, and Death Charge, what is it? Death Spray. You might think it's Depth Charge. And the thing about this deck is that it's designed to just not give a shit. Because what Blaster Dark Diablo does is he kills a unit when you ride. Boop. Him. Dark Dragon, Phantom Blaster Diablo. So you ride him, you stride, you choose something on their field to die. Now his ability is pretty interesting. Counterblast 1, flip it up. If you kill 3 units when this plus 10k and a critical. If you kill 3 units when this unit attacks, and it's G-Break 2, essentially. Your opponent has to choose 2 rear guards and retire them, or they can't guard, which is some OP bullshit. However, it's not really as bad as all that. So in other words, most players, unless you're Grand Blue, or Pale Moon in certain builds, is probably going to have 2-4 units or so in their field, especially something like Gold Paladins. Now, I've already killed one by riding him on him. Now I've killed one with this guy, because what he does is G-Break 1, Counterblast. Choose one of your rear guards and retire it. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard. Pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Boom. So it's like boom. Whoops. Attack, Counterblast 1, kill something. You just killed 4 of their units. Now I run 4 of him in here. So let's say there's another one here. I should probably pull out the starter too. Boop. That's weird. There's 3 of my Blaster Dark Diablos stacked. I'm gonna unstack them. So let's say that we have some sort of setup like this. Where's the starter? Oh, it's over there. Whoop. And when his ability is, when he is killed, you may search your deck for 1 Blaster Dark from your deck and call it a rearguard circle. And guess what? I'm not going over the full deck, by the way, because again, this is a mini video. Blaster Dark Spirit's ability is Counterblast. When this unit is placed on rearguard from deck, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rearguards in the front row and retire it. So what you have to do is be careful. You can choose what you retire. So in other words, back row, back row, back row, front row. Give or take. Now, why am I saying this? At no point in time previously in the game, unless your opponent is literally playing one card called Optorandus, which isn't even released in the US, you should be able to get this. If you have the counterblast for it, because it costs 1, 2, 3, 4 counterblasts, but nothing in this deck uses counterblast anyway, except for these 4 cards and some Makas. Not Makas. Yes, Makas. And there's actually other unflip cards in it too, you know. Anyway. And Aura Geysers. But I don't use Damned unless I need to. You know, there's no reason why you shouldn't pull this off. Optorandus prevents you from calling rear guards at all. Period. You cannot superior call, you cannot normal call, nothing. So besides him, nothing's really going to happen. Sure, Darkface also does it. So in other words, we really only have to worry about Mega Colony. Basically saying, no, you can't do it. Now, that doesn't actually solve for what they do during their turn. You see, one of the things about strategy in Vanguard is that it's based on what your deck can do in the stack. You see, recently, the most recent episode of Vanguard, at the time of this recording, Wakamizu was fighting Shin Omen A over, and I'm mispronouncing their names, over whether Shin Omen A can fuck up Wakamizu's programming to get the Stride Gate open between Cray and Earth. Villains, alright? So, one of the things that sort of screws over Wakamizu is that he forgets that Shin Omen A, well, first off, it was plotted for Mega Colony to lose yet another fight. But if you felt the venom in my voice, I'm very salty about it. I'm always salty about it. Like, there's at no point in time am I not salty about Mega Colony losing a fight. Never. Always salty. I wish I knew the Latin for always salty. Put it in the comments below if you know it. He got caught up in what Shin Omen A was doing. He forgot that Shin Omen A does not rely on crits, but rather on stands in the most current iteration of the deck when they released the new Fenrir Stride. He sort of got caught up in the moment, he got arrogant, he freaked out, and the funny thing is, if he had guarded early, it wouldn't have been as much of a problem. What he should have done is taken which is what I do personally. Like, I'm not speaking from like, oh, I know better than the characters. You know, I play Mega Colony. I have to deal with this every time I fight. And that's the smart conservation of guard. If an opponent uses stands, they have a higher chance of not hitting crits. And because Fenrir does not get a crit, you could just take him. So in other words, like, I have fought opponents that run 12 stand. I've laughed at them and then just taken their Vanguard. Now, that doesn't mean I win every game, but when it comes to like things like Angel Feathers, all of a sudden I don't have to worry about a 50-2 Angel Feather thing because he flipped out his entire damage spots 3 or 4 ass times. Pardon my French. It's really frustrating to just sit there and wait for the opponent to be like, okay, I gave 50k to this card. And I'm not really calling out anyone for it, just Angel Feathers in general. But it's one of those things where it doesn't matter, because they will still be swinging at you for 3 attacks, or 4 or even 5 attacks. You just have to be aware that, oh, he's using Gavriel this turn. Well, I guess that's a bit more guard, and then just go back to not giving a shit while he does all his combinations. Now, I'm not saying that you should be completely oblivious. I'm just saying that you can't stop him, so why worry about it? Why freak out like Wakamizu did and not guard correctly, or even anticipate that Shin Omen A, while he was basically stacking the deck in his favor in a way that would make the most cheating heart of our players in the meta jealous, is that he still didn't have the crits to pose a threat. Once you know what the threat is of your opponent, like for example, for this deck, the threat is pretty simple. You need to keep a full field at all times, because if even if you only have 4 cards without, you know, this combination, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you don't have 5 cards, you lose. If you think you'll be safe with 2 cards, no, you're not going to be safe. And you might be like, Ben, shouldn't I worry about this? Yeah, but this is the attack phase. It's different. Like, it's one of those things where there's a subtlety to it. During your opponent's main phase, all you have to do is this going to affect me? It's not going to affect you? Who gives a shit? For a lot of this stuff, I see a lot of Vanguarders sort of go, well, I mean, I got to worry about this. He's doing all these things. And I'm like, look, man, this is going to swing for 70k and you can't use a perfect shield because I'm playing Metalborgs. That's when it matters, not 1 second before. So when you go into the field of battle and you see an opponent and he's playing a deck and he's doing all these different combinations, all you need to do is making sure that his combinations are right, and then just wait for him to say, yeah, it's 70k. And then you guard for it or you face tank it. Because that's the only 2 options you have. Like, if you were to break down a game, it's literally stand, draw, main phase, abilities during the main phase. And I'm skipping stride step, by the way. Then it's battle phase, and then it's end phase, where all abilities are resolved until the next turn begins for your opponent. And by the way, for most decks, especially like Shadow Paladins and stuff like that, that's it until it's your turn again, except for guarding. And then the only actions you take during your opponent's turn is literally during the guard phase, unless you play Mega Colony, or 1 or 2 builds a Link Joker. Kagero. Hold on. There are some, and Mega Colony is the big one. Link Joker just has 1 card, Freeze Ray Dragon, that I can think of, and maybe 1 or 2 other ones that can go on effect if your opponent's also playing Link Joker. And then I say Kagero because of Bellog that can kill shit and defeat Flare and Denial Griffin, which can kill things on guard. There's also things like Gold Paladins, which can call rearguards on guard. But honestly, they're not the same thing. It's one of those things you still don't need to give a shit. So when you go into battle, and your opponent starts flashing around his cards in his S-class, deck, his no-seal or whatever, you just wait until he's done, then you kick his ass. Because unless the opponent is literally playing Mega Colony, Link Joker, or Kagero, and maybe Gold Paladins. Hold on, I'm still thinking. You don't need to care. Like, how much is this going to be? How much is this going to be? That's the only question you should ask, not what are you doing. You should be able to already know what he's doing by the deck he has. But also, not that you shouldn't ask questions, but it's one of those things like, as you get better in Vanguard, you should memorize abilities. At my level, I don't need to even ask questions most of the time. I just make sure that they know what they're doing. I say, hey, what's this? Why are you doing this? Oh, this no-seal ability gets me. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, sure, no problem. And then it just goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. Anyway, let's see here. This is the first thing, a mini little episode I'm doing for Training with the King. I hope you guys enjoy it. Do care to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see different sort of methods of this or any specific thing you want me to look at. Next episode's probably going to be about shuffling and keeping your hand size not hidden, but it's like shuffling and deceiving your opponent as to what cards are in the deck. Not that you should really lie. Like, it's one of those things, don't lie, but at the same time, you don't need to tell them the truth. And there's a weird gray bit that's not lying at all, but simply letting them be deceived. It's like this half of warfare is deception. I think someone said that. I don't know. Maybe I'm digging myself a pit with this lie thing that I just don't want to get out of. Anyway, see you guys.